What we are live on Sales Chatter, and today we are going to look at how beauty and logistics collide. To the HPLS podcast, live, relevant, and high performance information, conversations, and education weekly. So on Tuesdays, y'all know we try and bring you a little bit of a perspective of what our customers go through, what they have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, and how it impacts their day-to-day decision-making and the ability to bring you the next latest and greatest supply chain specialist on. So today is no different. We've got Sam DeFalco from Voyant Beauty. Now, Voyant Beauty is a bottling company that deals in beauty products, cleaning products, and liquids and cleaners. So Sam has a diverse supply chain that he's going to give us a little bit of an insight into and look at how this world of beauty and logistics collide. So Sam, thanks for being here, brother.
No
Appreciate
problem.
it, my man.
Yes, thank you, Sam.
And
Good
for all of
morning,
you that
Jeff.
are watching and listening, Sam was a guest on the High Performance Logistics Sales Summit back in December of 2020. I can't believe it was that long ago. Eh?
Wow.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah, was it 2020?
I think it was 2020. Yeah.
Yeah, 2020 because it was
Yeah,
it
'cause
was
nothing
kind of a
happened yet,
year into
right?
COVID. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, we're gonna have another one this summer. We'll let y'all know when it is. So, Sam, thanks for being here, brother.
Thank you, my pleasure.
So, Sam, I guess the big question that open up the chat here. We got good morning, Jeff. The
Morning,
big
Jeff.
question that I have, anyways, to start is like, what's changed in the last, call it 12 to 16 months for you? I mean, we've been in COVID. We know what's happening. You know, we can sit here all day long. You don't have to go in, as you know, Mr. Googs will have 4 million pages of the challenges with COVID and supply chain. But what's changed after COVID hit till now?
Well, 12 to 16 months is a long window in this particular industry. And I've been at this, now 19 years. Things change pretty quickly. So 12 to 16 months is a pretty large window. I would say the biggest change we're seeing is suppliers not being able to deliver, meaning both not being able to fulfill the orders as required and not being able to secure trucks to get it here. This is probably the first time in the 19 years I've been doing this that I've seen that on such a large scale. Usually it's one-offs, two-offs, rare scenarios, force majeures with raw material happens once in a while, like when there's some sort of natural disaster, somewhere in the world, those types of things. But this is the first time in all the years I've been working here that we're seeing people just not being able to deliver. And some of the biggest players in the game, right? Like we're not talking about mom and pop.
You're talking
we're talking. I'm gonna avoid using any names as it relates directly to us. But we're talking big transportation and big companies, big suppliers in the world having a tough time delivering.
How have you guys adapted to that? Like, what I guess what strategies have you put in place? Or?
Wow, that you know what? That's a really great question. I think on the face of it, I don't think we have adapted, if that makes any sense. But because just the nature of this business is that if you can't do A, do B, we're still just doing that. Nothing's really changed here in manufacturing. It's always been that environment. If we can't make product A, let's do everything we can to make product B just to keep the lines running. Because this is more than transportation. This is more than logistics. This is more than manufacturing. This is people. There are real people that work here that have real bills to pay and real families waiting for them when they get home. So the number one objective here in all the jobs I've had here, from logistics to planning to when I was working in the warehouse floor, the plant floor, all these different jobs I had, the main objective is to always keep people working. So we've always been focused that way. It's just gotten more challenging because now we may not even have the materials to do product B. Product B could very well be in the same boat as product A. And then so on and so on and so on. But I would say for the most part, there's 600 people that work at this facility. and I would say 599 of them are dedicated to keeping things moving and keeping people working. That's always the number one objective for everybody, is to keep people working.
That's good. That's good.
You'll hear that phrase here a lot from everybody, down from the guy who cleans the floor all the way up to the guy who's in charge. You'll hear them use that phrase. We got to keep people working. That's the objective. So we've always been good at pivot, right? Pivot on one foot and turn around and do it the other way, right? It works. Sometimes it doesn't. I'm going to be 100% honest with everybody. It doesn't always work. And
trial and error, right?
Yeah, and it's not for lack of trying. And sometimes, despite all of everybody's efforts, it could just be out of people's control for whatever the reason, right? And in manufacturing, there are plenty of reasons why something's not going to happen.
And have your goals for 2022, like corporately for your department, have they shifted at all, or are they still in line?
You know what? I wouldn't be able to say really. We don't get into it too much. There's a time of the year where everybody's looking at, goals and keeping overtime down and turning things around faster and those types of KPIs or whatever they. There's a time of year for that. But I can be honest. I'm gonna be honest with you and everybody who might be watching this. It's not a big focus for me as an individual, because I'm really interested in keeping people working and getting the job done. That's it. I'm not really interested in any of the corporate bureaucratic hoo-has, for lack of a better term. And Dan, you probably might remember this from when we
I like that you said that. When we danced in the same arena. I like that you keep stressing keeping people working too.
That's a big thing, man. And I remember, I'll tell a quick story. I don't want to drag this out too long, but when I did work in the same arena as Dan, and I consider him to be a mentor, and I still have tremendous respect for him. But one thing for sure is I'm always about people, and anybody who's not about people is not for me. And I would like to throw a few people I'd like to use this forum to throw a few people under the bus, but I won't. I wish some of them were listening, because I would like to name their names. But there are some terrible people out there that shouldn't be in leadership positions. And if I took anything from Dan, was how to be a great leader, but also to be a good person, right? Treat people with dignity and respect, and it'll pay dividends, right, down the line.
Agreed.
I had already been a leader for many years up until I met Dan, but I'm just saying that is a trait that I think I got from him. Just treat people with dignity and respect, man, and it'll be okay. So that's a huge part for me. So to answer your question, Dan, goals they're always changing, they're always evolving. Of course, people want things to be less expensive and done faster, and all these things that are all true in every industry and every business. But I'm not terribly focused on them, if that answers your question.
So if a logistics salesperson is going to give you a call, Sam, what are you looking for in the conversation to pique your interest? What are some of the cues that you're looking for? What are some of the things that if you don't hear, you're going to be like, you know what, not even interested. Let's not even have a second call. Like give us a little bit of that insight, because obviously, as you know from our conversations, this show is meant to help the professional logistics sales rep, the professional supply chain guy and gal, and really get in the mindset of where you're at. So they're not just calling up going, I got trucks in your area. And you're like, it's not trucks I need, man. What it is I need cardboard from my manufacturer.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's always the song and dance, right? It's always, I've got trucks in your area. And I would say right now, the number one suggestion I can give to any salesperson is know your audience and know the person you're speaking with. I can't tell you how many people have called me in the last month thinking I'm from Chicago, or my office is in Chicago. And when I ask them, what number did you dial? And they say 416-740, so blah, blah, blah. And I said, I'll say 416 should have been the first cue. That's not a Chicago area code. Plain and simple. If you live in Chicago and you service the Chicago area, 416 is not an area code in Chicago. So don't call here telling me you have trucks on Michigan Avenue waiting to be loaded, because I'm not on Michigan Avenue. So that's probably the number one pet peeve. They don't even know who they're calling anymore. Take the time, man. And I remember when I was chasing down sales leads with, working with you for that brief period of time, you got to Google the people you're calling, find out what they do, who, not just the gatekeeper, but just find out where these people are located geographically. I remember one of the first bigger clients I landed when I was doing sales was the folks out of Miami. I don't know if you remember me going down there to visit them. One of the first things
that's when you kind of did your half vacation, half
yeah.
trip.
Thank you for that. I told that story yesterday.
It's a good place.
One of the first things I did when I called those people was I found out where they were located, what the weather was like that day. The names of the owners of the company was on the website, and I found out that they were Colombian. Right, their heritage. They emigrated from Colombia to the United States. So as soon as I got the first person on the phone, she was Latina as well, but she was from Costa Rica, and I just hit them with a little bit of Spanish that I Googled right off the top, and it gets the conversation going. So knowing your audience is huge. It's huge part of the game. Someone has a question.
Yeah. So Jeff says, Sam, do you find this issue pertaining to a specific part of your supply chain flow? Is it related to hazmat? As I ask, as I know many cosmetic companies falls into class 2 gases or class 3 liquid.
I'm sure it does. I'm not in the chemical side of the business anymore. Haven't been for a long time. So I don't really know what challenges they're having, but I'm sure they're very similar. But
yeah, they're actually increased huge. I was speaking to a hazmat company yesterday, and because of the amount of carriers out there that have decided to let go of their hazmat authorities and stop hauling hazmat, because I mean, it's so difficult. It's funny. There was a lady on, her name was Stephanie, a couple of weeks ago, and she was talking about trucks out of Houston going to Ontario and BC. We're like, okay, we'll call this person. This person. She says, well, it can only be a drive-in. That's okay. Call this person. She goes, well, it's hazmat. We're like, okay, now you're getting, like, here's a trifecta of challenges to get that truck out of there.
All the tough spots. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure it is a problem with our chemical folks and hauling freight in here as well. The challenges are not unique to any one side of the business. They're kind of the same. But I know with our chemicals, we have so many suppliers that are here in Ontario, our distributors. So a lot of the stuff is the last mile delivery is pretty local. And the things that do come from abroad, a lot of it comes from overseas. It might get flown in if it's really important. I can't say for sure if I've ever heard a story where somebody said, no, I don't have the hazmat ticket, or I forget what that's called, to bring it across
placards or authorities.
Yeah. Yep. I don't think I've ever heard those stories, but I think it's mostly just with lately with just availability of equipment. Right. Mm-hmm. But like I said, we deal with a lot of big carriers. Most of them are pretty good. The other thing too that's unique, or not unique, I should say, that's interesting or cool about this place is a lot of the people we deal with have been doing business here at this site in one form or another since, Jesus left Chicago. And I'm sorry for anybody that's in Chicago. That's just a thing that I say.
So Sam, I got a question for you.
Long time.
Do you find the service levels from every one of your suppliers, have they gone up? Have they gone down? Have they stayed the same? Like, what is your observation?
I think it's
during these challenging times.
I think it's consistently gone down, and I'm not sure if
it's
gone down. I think so. I feel that way. Like I said, we're seeing, I would say, service as it relates to the delivery portion, right? Actually being able to get it on our dock. I don't think it's for lack of trying or anything like that. I don't think their customer service has gone down. Their levels have gone down. They're still very interested in fulfilling our requirements. It's sometimes they're just not able to for.
And is the communication gone up when they're not able to deliver?
Yeah, there's a lot of communication traffic going on here. Yes, I would say it's pretty good. I have no.
What would you say would be the increase of communication traffic from before challenging times to now?
Say that again. Sorry.
Like how much is the increase? How much has your communication increased? 30, 40%, 20%, compared to before to now?
As far as like updates?
Yeah, as far as like updates, what's happening, where's the truck, when can you expect it, that kind of thing.
So with our freight partners, Yeah, it's actually it's okay. This is a two-part answer. With our freight partner, I would say the communication's gone down.
Okay.
With the carrier or the people handling the freight itself, simply because we do it one way and now we're doing it a different way. So they don't track and trace the way the other folks did. However, I'm seeing a lot more communication directly with the vendor, with the supplier. Do you know what I mean? So I'm seeing a lot more emails and phone calls from them directly relating to a specific delivery and timing of it, and so on and so on and so on. I think no one's come out and said it, but I think our carrier or our partner that handles the freight has sort of pushed that ownership onto the shipper to make sure that they communicate where things are at. Again, I don't think anyone's come out and said that officially. It just seems to be the case, because I'm
As
seeing
if like they're
emails and
trying to take their personnel and free up the people's time at the
yeah,
carrier.
I couldn't tell you why they're doing it. I can only tell you that nobody is tracking and tracing, and that's the phrase that I know. So I don't know if I'm dating myself. I don't know if that's still a term in
I
transportation.
still say it, brother. Don't worry about it.
But nobody in our logistics, from our logistics partner, is tracking and tracing loads, as far as I know, because I've asked why we don't do that, why I'm not getting phone calls, or no, not necessarily me, but anybody. And we're seeing a lot more communication with our vendors. Now, historically, here in some positions, that was a lot more common, anyways, was to deal directly with the vendor, because again, this is manufacturing and it's personal care products, so these relationships go back dozens and dozens of years. So it's already commonplace for them to deal directly with the vendor. But I was surprised to see less communication from our transportation, because it used to be in-house. Our transport people used to be in-house. They were out of Florida, and I would see, half a dozen emails a day, dozen emails a day, 2 dozen, depending on what was going on. And now I don't see any track and trace emails personally. They may be going to somebody else, maybe, but I don't think so. I think it's still happening just mostly with the vendors. And that's what people here are used to, and it's fine, right? I mean, it's no big deal. But I personally would like to see track and trace on loads that we're waiting for, right? Because here in my little piece of the world here, I'm only concerned about the freight when it's supposed to be here. Do you know what I mean? If it's due 3/1, that's on 3/1 is the only time I'm worried about it.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Well, actually, that streamlines well right into John's question. What communication with track and trace do you think is most important? What do you want to see?
Where it is at the time you're giving me the update, and when it's expected to deliver.
And are you looking for updates days before? Only if there's a problem days before? Because you said if it's 3/1 and it's supposed to be 3/1, that's where you want to know where it is.
This right?
Can you repeat that, Sam? You froze a little bit.
Yeah, you're kind
of. I just received a notification that seems like one of your streams. Can you guys hear me?
No, you're okay. Yeah. You just lost the connection for a sec.
This is still a just-in-time business, right? We're not, while we have a large warehouse facility and warehouse partners, but this is not a warehousing business. So we want our freight here just in time, whatever that looks like. We have certain requirements that have to be met, for raw material, analytical testing, and so on and so on, and then packaging material, whatever the testing process is for our quality folks. But if it's 3 days, we need to hear 3 days before, not 4 days, not 5 days, and not 2 days. We need to hear 3. So it's a just-in-time business, and that's what we want. If there's going to be a problem, we want to know as far in advance as we can, so we can react accordingly, right? And that's what I said, the track and trace thing. I don't see it happening the way it used to. I don't see lots of emails and communications about certain deliveries not making it for whatever the reason. I think now a lot of our folks have to follow up with the vendor and ask tough questions to even get an answer. Like, where is it? Why is it not on a truck? What happened? Can you tell me? So on. Like, is it quality? Is it material? Is it availability for trucks? Like, what's the problem, right? We're having to do a lot more digging because people here want answers, right? Ultimately, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what business you're in, somebody above you wants an answer. And the same is true in manufacturing. People here want answers. They want to know why the freight didn't arrive. Why are there 75 people that now are going to be out of work today, across 3 or 4 lines? Why are we sending 100 people home? You know what I mean?
Sam,
That's a question that have to be answered.
Definitely.
Your business in today's environment is still operating just in time.
Yeah, it's the nature of this business, and keeping in mind, if materials are coming from overseas, then of course not. That's impossible to do. If a container is coming from China with material on it, it's going to arrive when that's fine. Mm-hmm. But
so do you stockpile that side of the business and then kind of operate?
Of course,
okay,
of course.
So your model shifted a little bit because before COVID, you were probably operating with containers and just in time.
Just because of our customers. So if that customer has material coming from China or from some other part of the world, then absolutely it's going to come when it's going to arrive. The majority of our customers we service are from the US, and our goods are bound for the US and Canada. So, and a lot of the suppliers are from US and Canada. So we can do that. Like we'll do, let's say we'll do 40 inbound loads here a day, right? 27.
You just got a whole bunch more people that are going to be calling you.
Yeah.
you just totally threw yourself under the bus.
27. I got good answers for those folks though. 27 of those loads
just don't call them and tell you got trucks in Chicago, guys.
Yeah, just right. Don't tell me trucks in Michigan Ave, because I don't want to hear it. The majority of our freight is coming locally from here in Ontario, in a lot of cases from Mississauga and things like that. So absolutely, just in time is what we want.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
makes sense. Makes sense.
Now,
Ryan says, I work with some cosmetic customers, and the common subject is sustainability and going green. Has that been something you've been dealing with personally, or is it more of a company mission?
I have a personal situation about that. So being that I'm in the packaging side, when packaging components are no longer needed, they're obsolete, artwork has changed, and the customer wants to throw them, toss it out. We of course are always looking to recycle it first. That has to be number one priority. I can't say for sure if that's happening every single time, but it's a priority for us to make sure we get it recycled.
Yeah. And do you want to deal with companies that are on green programs and that kind of stuff as well, or does that matter as much to you?
I don't know. It doesn't matter to me. I'm not in that side of the business to say what, to even worry about what those other folks are doing. But when we're talking about,
you're talking about your footprint,
I'm talking about my footprint. When we're talking about getting rid of packaging materials that are no longer needed for various amount of reasons, we're always looking to get it recycled. Absolutely, it has to be whomever we're working with to get it out. We want to make sure it's getting recycled.
Got it. And then Jeff just says why that's unacceptable operational failure on the vendor and carrier side. That should be done minimum. Talking about the tracking and tracing should be done minimum twice daily. And I mean, twice, 3 times. I mean, there were some customers we did track and trace 4 times a day, which is it's actually very surprising that has decreased, because if anything, with the delays and capacity, you would think that would skyrocket. And one thing that was really interesting, what you said, was you find your vendors are doing more of the communication.
They are. I'm telling you 100% they are. And I know part of it is because this is just the nature of this business. For our purchasing people to have tighter relationships with the vendors, that's just part of the fabric of this industry, right?
I understand that.
But I was surprised to see when we went from an internal logistics supplier, an internal broker, for lack of a better term, to an external one, the track and trace went away. And I asked the question several times, and I think I have a call tomorrow. I don't know what's the date today, March 1st. Or maybe it's today. Is today Tuesday? I have a call today.
Tuesday, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I have a call today about this.
Oh, it's Monday in Chicago. It's Tuesday here.
I have a call about this today, and I'm sure it's going to come up. And I'll ask the question again, right? Why are we not tracking and tracing? Why do we have to ask?
I've got a theory, and can you fill us in after you have the call? And I'll kind of share my theory, and then I'd like to see if I'm right.
Okay.
I think with lack of people working, with the carriers consistently looking for really good people. You know, as a carrier, as a logistics guy, if my customer is ABC Corporation and I'm shipping these to you, I'm updating ABC Corporation. As a salesperson, I want to update you because eventually I want to come in and say, hey, I know you like me, I like you. Why don't we talk about doing business together?
Yeah.
But if you're not in that forward thinking mindset, you're going to update your customer. And, you know, I could see, and again, I'd love to know if I'm right, if you can find this out, Sam, because I'm seeing the conversation going as we don't have the manpower to update your customers as well as you.
You're
so
right.
We're going to update you and you can update the customer.
Yeah, I'm sure you're right.
I agree.
I'll put some money on that one. You're probably right.
I agree.
Side.
So Sam, so you were on the dark side, being from the brokerage side, and then going to that side. I've worked.
Well, I kind of did them. The brokerage thing was sort of an interruption in my life.
Okay. Go ahead. Interruption. So during the interruption, do you notice? Because I've worked with a few who were former brokers at one point, few customers or clients, and some will give you are very difficult, but some are like, hey, look, I know it's hard for brokers, and they'll give what side do you tend to play?
Oh, I'm always just asking if I put people down easily.
Yeah.
All the time. I always tell everybody whose call I end up taking for whatever reason, I will always tell them, look, I've been in your shoes. I did this for a while. I understand, what some of the issues are. And I try to educate them on why I can't have why there's no room for the conversation. Not like, don't call me and hang up. No, I don't do that because I didn't want it done to me, and I don't do it to other people, right?
So why is there no room for the conversation? Share some of those with us.
Yeah, no problem. It's because of who we're partnered with, right? It's happening the decisions are happening at a very high corporate level, and we're partnered with one of the biggest, brokerages in the world. Fill in the gap yourself, and there's no room to have the conversation. Just plain and simple. Our mandate is not to worry about that. It's to keep this business running, right? In the instances where we do have an opportunity to work with people outside of that world of this already predetermined freight, we have a couple of partners we work with. And I can tell you one quick story because I think we're running out of time. The person we are working with is somebody that I know had been trying to get in this facility, who previously worked here many years ago, and it still took him like 15 years to be taken serious as a freight broker, as a warehouse solution provider, all around logistics professional. It took almost 15 years. He used to sponsor our golf. He used to sponsor our golf tournaments. He used to show up and buy prizes for us and all these things he was doing before he even made $1 here. You understand? So
was that more of a longevity? They want to make sure he's going to be around, kind of.
No, there was no opportunity. There was no chance to get him in there. And I can tell you how it started really quickly. It started on the least money-making lane we had, which was bringing in empty pallets from around the GTA, whether it was Toronto, Mississauga, Scarborough, Ajax, wherever they were coming from, and bringing them into this site. And he might have been making $50 a load, on that. He's still doing that to this day, and I don't even know if he's making any money on it, but he does it. But those things led to other things that led to other things that led to other things.
Open the doors.
Now we have... he's got 375,000 square feet of warehouse space, and we have probably 70,000 of it that we pay for, per square foot or per pallet. Per pallet, excuse me.
So, do you know what the?
But that took 15 years to happen. So,
yeah. Do you know what the turnaround was? Like, was it the broker that was in when he was trying to get in?
No, the turnaround was COVID. It was COVID.
Oh,
the week the first shutdown happened, March 2020, right? 2020, March 16th or something like that, I think it was. That same day we had a catastrophic incident that happened here, the safety incident, or I shouldn't say it that way, but something happened that caused a lot of people to freak out. And that happened, COVID hit, all these things were happening simultaneously, and we all of a sudden needed a third party warehouse partner, and we just called the first guy we could think of, the guy who had been knocking on our door for 15 years, who previously worked here, and the relationship kind of took off from there. And he had, like I said, he had already been spending money on this account years before he even made $1. I'm not saying that's going to work for everybody. I'm just telling you that
dedication,
the dedication, the persistence of it, hearing no for the better part of 15 years, it's terrible.
And you know what? I would probably phrase it like building the relationship for the better part of 15 years for things to be solid when it's done. Like, you know, I mean, unless he was saying, hey, here's a sponsorship for the golf tournament. Can I get some business? No. Okay. You know, but I would think he's more the individual. I don't know who you're talking about, but the individual is more focused on that relationship building, knowing, hey, sooner or later, there's going to be an opportunity. And if I'm the one that's in there every week, twice a week, if when something happens, I'm going to be the first name. Like, how many times have we heard that in the sales market? You know, something happens with your customer. It might be today. It might be tomorrow. It might, just that right place, right time. If your name is the first name that comes up, you got an opportunity. You better stand tall.
Yeah, right? Correct. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, the way I like to explain that is it's kind of like, and what I like to train any new brokers is it's kind of like if you're in a crowd, you're at a concert, right? And your customer's on stage, you don't want to be the guy in the back saying, pick me, pick me. Yeah. You want to be the guy right up front saying, pick me, pick me. And that's,
I remember a guy that I worked with, there was a golf tournament for a predominant grocery chain. And there, all of a sudden, somebody just totally bailed on them. He went and rented a reefer truck, like just a cargo van reefer, went and picked all the lobsters up at the airport, brought it to the golf tournament. And only a year after that did he get business. But when something happened, same scenario, they said, who could we call for this? Hey, remember that guy that like just didn't ask for anything, just totally went out and grabbed it. Like, let's call him. If he's willing to do that, maybe he's willing. And then, I mean, turned into millions a year in business, like tens of millions in business. Crazy.
Yeah, this is
all right, DJ, what do you got to bring us out of here, brother?
I love it. Well, hey, Sam, thank you again. We are running on time. We're a little bit over, and we are trying to stay tight, guys. But so, Sam, thank you again.
My pleasure.
Information, guys, you could blow them up, but make sure you don't say you're in Chicago. Please don't do that.
When you're not,
don't blow them up.
Or maybe you could start the conversation, but then say it's a joke and say you heard it on here. But again, guys, this is saved and replayed. So like and subscribe down below on our Sales Chatter Live YouTube channel. We are live Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. till 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. Start your day right with us. Motivation, meeting with great customers like Sam, and much, much more. So also check out our LinkedIn Sales Chatter Live page as well. And So I had to change. Originally I looked up Kick because that's what I thought, and so I went to bleach and cleaning. So I transitioned to beauty, and this is a great one. Everything has beauty, but not everyone sees it. Confucius said that. Remember it, guys.
Wonderful.
Beauty.
Thanks.
To the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance information, conversations, and education weekly.